join me in welcoming Chuck.
Well, title of my speech is Green Side Up. Definitely how you plant most plants. It's difficult for me to know where to go. We can talk about plants going into the soil. Soil is actually a living organism. People are just finally starting to know about that. And the plants we have depend on the climate that we have, and some of the old notions of horticulture are being disproven because most of the practices have been, we've always done it this way, and this is the way we're going to do it. And now after trying, they find out that instead of digging the hole and putting compost in it, you should put native soil in, because the compost starts at the top and works its way down and digests. And the soil that we have around here is geologically very recent. That's why we have, the mission was built, we have very good building materials, but lousy soil for growing things. It takes several years of truly working at the dirt to make it good. The concept of putting the compost in the ground, they're finding is actually deleterious, because when you put the compost in, you get the fungus and everything working on it, and then compost gets digested, and the only thing left that's organic is the plant itself. And the fungi, which were saprophytes, turned into parasites, and they're finding out that doesn't work, especially with dirts around here. And lately, I've even been finding that certain plants don't want compost at all. Stuff from the desert, and for a while I was into South African bulbs. And if you want to kill it, you put compost around it. But most of the interesting plants for people are the ones that they can use. It's kind of fascinating what all the native cuisines came up with, the weeds that they had growing around them, and they essentially tamed them. So the herbs that we have are essentially just whatever's growing around. In the South, the soul food, mustard greens. These were plants that were weeds. They were brought over by the Spaniards when they were coming across America, and when the slaves, they weren't fed adequately, but mustards are really good. They're very tasty. As a matter of fact, several times I considered being homeless because I could live off the land. So many things grow around here. But let's investigate herbs a little bit more. I talked about vegetables before, and with the drought situation, lawns are going to be a thing of the past. But there are a couple of plants, especially the Mediterranean ones, the thymes and the oregano. So oregano makes a beautiful ground cover. It's very tough. And thyme is very many varieties of thyme. And they're all, some of them different flavors. Some of them are spreading, some of them more upright. They're all very useful. And thyme and oregano grow quite well together. Put a couple of grasses in there, you have a nice landscape. But if you want to do a culinary garden, you do, marjoram is the other herb that's associated with Italian cooking. Now, most people use marjoram instead of butter, but then I found out that the Germans. For making sausages and soups. When you get up into the more northern areas, that's when you get the herbs like dill. Parsley is all over Europe because it's a biennial. It grows, wheat leaves, and then it goes to flower and dies. The other ones are perennials. But basil is the #1 herb that everybody uses. And there are a whole bunch of different kinds. Some of them taste good, some of them are, I haven't figured out how to use them. But the interesting thing to me is with basil, most people, they talk about using the leaves. And they say keep deadheading it, which means cutting the flowers off. And I found out by personal experience, if you let it go to seed, let it form fruits, you break those off. And you dry them in a paper bag. If you put them in plastic, they'll mildew. But you have, it's like perfect basil dried on a skewer. And you can have it for 12 months. As a matter of fact, I ended up stopping harvesting the basil that I grew because I had so much. But that's about all I can say off the cuff.